Welcome to the Castle of the Dark, where we are planning our next attack on Earth and its people. My name is Leonidas Umbra, and today we are going to be making Chicken Alfredo. So, Chicken Alfredo is a very popular dish, I believe. Like, a lot of people, like, whenever people think of Italian food, Chicken Alfredo is one of the first things that people think about. And it's a very creamy and cheesy sauce, and usually it's fettuccine Alfredo. But I don't have fettuccine on me. I couldn't find any. So what we're actually gonna do is use linguine, which is like a little bit thinner, I believe. Like, if you see, it's like it's still like a fettuccine is like a sheet of paper, almost like a thin sheet of paper, and then it goes like that, like little strips. And these are like smaller strips, but pasta's pasta. Slightly different, but it should be the same. The first thing I want to do is that we are actually here we go. We're gonna cook up the chicken part of it. So I have some chicken thighs, some nice boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You can make this with chicken breast too, but chicken thighs have a lot more of that fatty tissue in between, and they're a lot more tasty for me. So I'm gonna actually cook more chicken thighs than needed, just so I can have some cooked chicken thighs for later. So first of all, we want to bring some oil up to temperature, and just a little bit of oil, just enough to coat the bottom. We're not deep frying them or anything. We want to coat that bottom of the pan. And then once it's nice and hot, we'll put the chicken thighs in. And we don't really have to do much to the chicken thighs. We're just gonna lay them down. And let them start cooking. Come on. You want a nice big pan. And if it seems like you're sticking, you just kind of leave them there. They will, once they start cooking, they will unstick from the pan much easier. And these we're gonna set aside for a second and let them cool down. What we gotta do now, while that's cooling off, what we want to do is get some parsley. This is Italian parsley, and we don't need these stems. Some of these stems are not. I mean, you can eat them, but we mostly want the leaves. And a trick to doing herbs like this is that you bunch them together. You kind of try to roll them together into a nice little, I guess it's a roll. There you go. And then once you have it, you just kind of start cutting. And then you want, this is a very what do you call it? They teach you this a lot. The hand is holding the food into knuckles, so then you can't cut yourself, or you still can cut yourself, but it's a lot harder. So we want to make it as, you know, pretty fine. And we want a good amount of this parsley. This is mostly stem, so we're just gonna keep this. This is mostly to give the finished product the oomph that it needs, like just a little bit more, a different note. Because parsley is, well, let me try it. It's a little herby, a little almost minty, almost not really minty, but it's very fresh, and everything that we're going to use is very rich, so it gives a little like a different note to the dish. And what I want to emphasize about this dish is that it's very simple. Usually in French is Italian. In Italian cooking, it's very simple recipes. Like this and cacio e pepe, they're very similar. Very similar. They rely on pasta water and cheese to make an emulsion and stuff. So I'll show you that and mention it in a bit. But now we're gonna put this away to the side. I'm just gonna put this in over here. Okay. And I think the chicken should be cooled down now. So we're gonna cut up the chicken. And this is mostly a topping at the end. It's a little bit extra, honestly, because fettuccine alfredo, or this one, linguine alfredo, it can just be good just by the pasta itself. And honestly, it's probably just the pasta itself on the original recipe. Okay, come on. There you go. One more. Let me cut this in half, because that's a big piece to just get in the fork. There you go. Then we can set this aside. I'm eating up here. Alright. On to the real part. The good part of the recipe. I have this pot of water that has been simmering. And what we want to do is bring it to the boil. Bring it to a boil, and then we'll add our linguine. And to the water, we're gonna add salt. We want to add enough salt. This is like the only way that we're gonna season our pasta, so it's important that we salt it. And you can see it's already gonna boil. I've had it boiling to the side, so we should get to it real fast. Okay, I'm gonna say it's boiling. So it's boiling, right? So what we want to do is add our pasta. And once it's all in there, it takes it a second. And we want to boil this for about a minute less than what the package says. So it says, what is it? 10 minutes for al dente for this type of pasta. So we're gonna boil it for about 9 minutes. Once I get everything in there, I'll set a timer. Set a timer. So wait 9 minutes. Cool. Once the 9 minutes have passed, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the pot to the side. Oh, where's my trivet? Alright. We're gonna just set it to the side. We're gonna turn off the heat. Off completely. Woo! And then the heat is off, so what we want to do is I'm bringing back the pan where I cooked the chicken. This is not part of the original recipe, but it's something I like to do. I say I like to do it like I've done this before, but I haven't. But what I'm gonna do is take some of the pasta water. I'm gonna just a little bit, right? I'm gonna just add it right here. And then with that pasta water, I'm gonna scrape the bottom of this, because we're basically deglazing it. We're basically getting the fond out of it, you know? Because it has all of that chicken flavor in it, and some of the fat. I drain most of the fat, but that chicken should give it, the whole dish, a very chickeny flavor. So now, the next step is we're not gonna drain the pasta. We're gonna transfer the pasta from the pot to over here. And it's okay not to drain it, because we want some of the water to come with it. We want some of the water to come with it, actually. Let me put it a little closer here. You can see that it's not completely cooked, and that's exactly what I want. So we keep putting the pasta in there. Almost all the pasta in there. This is half a pound of pasta. It's gonna make a lot of... The recipe calls for a whole pound of pasta, but I'm not doing that. Even half a pound is a lot. There. I've got all the pasta in there. Now I'm switching to the other one. So now that we have our pasta, I'm gonna swish it around a little. And to this, we're gonna add 6. It's about 6 tablespoons of butter. So what makes Alfredo sauce, traditional Alfredo sauce, it's the butter and the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. So this is, I think it's room temperature. So I'm just gonna like try to melt it all together. If it's not melting, we're gonna turn on the stove at the lowest setting. So basically, what we want to do is create an emulsion here between the butter and the cheese that we're gonna set up right now. Once the butter melts completely, and this is gonna take us a second or two, a minute maybe. Oh, there's more. A little more there. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now it's moving. Now we're gonna use our dark and cosmic power to get this pasta going. Look, I keep hitting you guys. What I'm gonna do is set it to the lowest setting, like as low as I can make it. There. I want just a little heat to be put in here, just a little bit. Like there. It's still like I'm almost afraid that it's gonna go off because we want this to be hot, but not boiling hot. And this is where it's very similar to cacio e pepe. Before we had cooked cacio e pepe, however, the problem is, or in cacio e pepe is the same thing. We're doing the same thing as in cacio e pepe, because in cacio e pepe, what you do is that it's just pasta water and Romano cheese, and you want to create an emulsion with those two. But here it's an emulsion with pasta water as well, and butter. But the problem arises is that you want to just melt the cheese a little. But if you melt it a lot, it decomposes into like the protein strands in it, because they're like very wind up together. The protein strands. It's kind of like that. The cheese is usually like this. It's like they're like this. However, if you melt it completely, they run freely and they clump together. So they run freely and they kind of like this pasta itself. Like imagine the pasta's protein strands. So if you like make it go like that, instead of having like very smooth lines going like that, you could tangle it up. Although pasta itself doesn't tangle up, but imagine if the pasta was very sticky. Okay, there you go. I think that's pretty good. So what we want to do is I have about 6 ounces of Parmigiano Reggiano. So I'm gonna add just a little bit at a time, about a third at a time, and we're gonna see if it mixes all together. And what we want is to create a balance between the cheese and the sauce. So we want that pasta water and that butter to absorb all of the cheese, so that it becomes a very smooth sauce. So we want to like, what I want to do is incorporate it all before I add more cheese. You could technically add more, and it should be fine. However, I don't want to push it that much. I want to go slow and not mess it up. And you can already see it became very creamy. You can't see any of the strands. Well, you can see a few strands here and there, but most of the most of the Parmigiano Reggiano strands have gone away, or they have been incorporated. So I'm gonna add another third. That was probably more than a third, but that's okay. Now, with this, there might be too much. This might be too much cheese for the amount of water in here. but we'll eyeball it. We'll eyeball it. And you want to get the size and everything. You want very smooth sauce here. And it's looking like it's gonna be fine. Cool, cool. Okay. For the next one, I have some of the pasta water before I put it away. So I'm gonna add just a little bit, just a tiny bit, because I'm pretty sure it's not gonna take the rest of the cheese in there. So put the rest of the cheese and we mix it together. And there you have linguine Alfredo. However, since we're fancy and because we really want our protein intake too, because if you don't get enough protein, you don't get to grow muscles. You gotta get your daily allowance of protein. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's looking fantastic, actually. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So, what I'm gonna do is bring our chicken. And I'm gonna turn it off now. We don't need the heat anymore. And the chicken is gonna be coated with a nice sauce, and we're gonna have a really nice dish. And to finish it off, a little bit of green, just a little, If you put a little bit of green in any dish, it just looks better. And there you have it. What is it called? Chicken fettuccine Alfredo. It's not fettuccine. Well, chicken Alfredo. Let's just call it chicken Alfredo. And it is really good. I hope you try it out. It's really easy. And like many pasta-based sauces, it utilizes the pasta water. And the pasta water, because it has all the starch in it, it helps thinning up a lot of the sauces. And it's really good. Hope you try it. And if you excuse me, I'm gonna dig in. Thank you for coming. And until next time.